think we. All right, dude. What's up, man?
How's it going?
How's it going, Tristan?
Hold on. Am I sideways? Is this
Yeah,
better? I don't know.
you know,
I can't
uh,
tell.
whatever's more convenient for you. In post when I edit this for YouTube, I can always toss it and I can edit it to where it's turned. Whatever's more comfortable for you, my man. No
Okay,
worry.
cool. Yeah, this works. It's all
Awesome.
cropped up.
All right. Dude, let me say first of all, thank you for taking the time today. Really, really appreciate you jumping on here and talking music. You guys just having a pretty poppin' show last night. How did that go?
It was sick. The show last night was really cool. Lots of people and everyone showed up early and like watched all the bands and stayed till the last band. So it
Fuck
was a
yeah.
good night. I didn't really know
That's,
what to expect, so it was a good time.
are you in Raw Breed too?
Just for last night, I was
Oh,
filling in for
oh,
my buddy Nick, who he's also in Candy Apple and the Consequence, and he's in Spain right now.
oh.
So I took his job, scab, for Rob Reed
Okay.
last night.
It's like I want to be pissed at you, but you're in Spain, so I
Yeah,
guess
no, he's having a good time. We wish he was here, but he's having fun.
sick. Okay, yeah, because I saw a couple of tags for Raw Breed, and I'm like, I didn't realize you were in that band. Okay, so
Yeah,
so just like a fill-in spot. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I filled in on a few tours for them, and I did a little guitar on their record. So they're
Hmm.
kind of just they're all good friends of mine. So it's easy to kind of just jump in when they need me.
Yeah, totally. Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like the consequences, that's something I know that you guys just recently, within the last couple of years, have had like your release and all. But is that like, are you still kind of diving into your first shows with that band?
No, I mean, we were actually playing shows under a different name before that tape ever even came out. I think we played a lot of shows
Oh,
before we even had any music out, which was kind of fun,
sick. The
being like a
rules.
live only band. And then we slowed down during the pandemic, obviously. But this year we've definitely been picking it back up. We've played probably locally at least 4 times, and then we went on a West Coast tour with Candy Apple as well. So
Oh shit. Okay.
yeah, we've been playing a lot of shows, and now we're
What was
kind
the
of
name before?
it was I don't even want to
Oh,
say it
okay.
actually because it's
That's fine.
it's not a
That's
bad name, but it almost it's kind of like this funny little lore thing, and I think it's the Denver heads will
yeah,
will know what it is.
yeah, yeah. No, no,
Yeah.
no. That's not a problem. Not a
It's a
problem.
it's a little secret.
Yeah, I dig that. I dig, and I mean that's one of those cool things too. Like as far as like even in Denver and talking with cats like James and different cat, where it's like I'm not trying to intrude by any means. It's just like being a
Oh
fan of
yeah,
like of
no
this stuff, and
worries.
like there's been kind of different things between like conversations of like, hey, I promise I'm not going to dig into this, or I don't want to like touch on that because I'm not trying to like ruin any of that.
Oh
But
yeah,
no, that's
no
sick. I
worries.
love that.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
no, yeah. The Denver cats will know
Yeah.
the name.
Okay.
They'll have
Sick.
seen us a few times.
So, so as far as you being younger and like developing interest in music, where does that all start for you? As far as is that earlier memories of driving in the car with your parents, or did you have like a sibling that was really introducing you into early stuff that was catching your ear?
Yeah, I guess kind of both. My parents definitely have stories about when I was a kid and like songs would come on the radio, like 3 years old, and songs would come on that I was like recognizing and just like really fucking into. Nothing good, like shit that catches a 3-year-old's attention. And then
Yeah.
like I got, I think I got like a portable CD player when I was like, I don't know, 8 or something like that. And my first CDs were like soundtracks. Like I had the soundtracks like the Lord of the Rings movies and like
Oh shit.
like Wild Wild West with Will Smith. And then like I think since I had a CD player, my sister started like burning CDs for me, and she would give me stuff like Blink 182 and Green Day, and those were like the first like actual bands that I listened to.
Okay.
And then beyond that, I think like honestly, it was kind of just slow progression of whatever I found interesting. On the same note, I got like my sister she got like a new iPad or iPod or something, and so she gave me her old iPod with all her music on it, and that's where I guess I started kind of expanding more, beyond just like the pop punk bullshit. Like
Yeah.
that's where I kind of heard like heavier music in a sense. I think like kind of like older metalcore stuff that she had on there that I found interesting and started piquing my interest, and then um, I was like playing like Tony Hawk games and like was introduced to
Oh
like
yeah.
Adolescence and like AFI and stuff like that. And, and like hip hop, and so then it just like over the years I just started, you know, at the same time I started playing guitar and just got really into music in general. So as I got older, I found, you know, punk and hardcore and you know, metal and stuff like that, and kind of just was a long road of just, you know, picking up other influences along the way.
Okay, sweet. And even, you know, within that, like, was there, you know, kind of a draw like while you're in school, or was it more of a thing to where, you know, you ended up finding buddies, you know, post middle or high school, you know, to where like there was actually kind of a scene and people talking about going to concerts or any of that shit?
Yeah, well, I started my first band in middle school,
Okay.
and with like a bunch of my buddies, and there was like a local spot that was like run by a church that would do, you know,
Mm.
shows on the weekend. So that was where we played our first shows, and like we did like a battle of bands there and stuff. And I guess you could call that a scene in some sense. That was kind
Yeah,
of an
right.
introduction to it. They weren't really doing like hardcore shows. I think I did see a band there. I don't remember who it was, but like that was like the first band I ever saw that had like moshing in it. And so like that was kind of my introduction to a scene, if you will, and then just, you know, met people there and got into high school, and then started playing in hardcore bands, and going to hardcore shows, and I guess finding more of a scene there. But at the time, Denver wasn't like it's not like it is now, you know. There
Yeah,
wasn't like a
totally.
poppin' scene really, but
Hmm.
there were spots, you know, DIY spots to go to shows. So
Yeah.
yeah, and high school is really where I guess I started, you know, finding a scene, if we'll call it that.
Okay. Okay. I
Yeah.
always thought that was so funny, like having shows at churches, just because, like,
Yeah.
especially some of the bands that were playing there, it's like, this is kind of a weird flex, but I guess
Yeah.
it works for right now.
That spot was fine. Like it wasn't actually at the church. It was like I don't know, it was like a separate building that the church owned, and would like during the week they would use it as like probably like a youth group place, but they would do shows on the
Oh.
weekend. But there
Mhm.
was like another spot that I played that was run by a church where like it was like straight up like they're like you can't curse, and we like
Yeah,
cursed during
yeah.
our set, and like they're like you can't play here again, we're not gonna like pay you or anything. It was pretty wild how strict they were.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was definitely, I mean, like a time I remember there being a couple of spots around here, and I was in like a group like with doing like a vocal, you know, type
Mm,
thing, and
mm.
they were mentioning to us that like you cannot swear, and you know, it was like a lot of our content. And so it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know how we're gonna pull this off, but I guess we'll try and figure this out.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of fun, I guess, to break the rules or whatever.
Yeah, something on
But
the fly. Or, you know, if
yeah,
you're like growling or like have a heavy vocal, you can just add a little distortion to it and try to mask it a little bit
yeah,
more. But
they won't know.
yeah.
Yeah,
So as far as, you know, kind of making like a little bit more of like a microscope onto, you know, certain musicians throughout, you know, you hear in different things. I kind of wanted to touch on as far as you know, different aspects of music, you know, when you start getting into things and, you know, like a guitarist, a bassist, a drummer, a vocalist, what in these categories, you know, pop in your mind as far as early, like, holy shit, how did they make their instrument sound like that? How did they pull off playing like that? Even if you wanted to start with a drummer, who is somebody that comes to mind as far as someone that caught your attention?
yeah. I don't think I really started paying attention to like individual band members until I was a bit older. Like when I
Hmm.
was younger playing music, it was I had a guitar, and like, you know, I was 12 and like had other people to play a band with. So it was more just like I wasn't even paying attention to like how did they do this?
Hmm.
I was just like, oh, like let's just fucking try it. Like here's
Yeah.
a terrible song that I wrote. Let's just try to play it. Um and then I guess when I got older, then I started like, you know, paying more attention to like, you know, band makeups, and who's really in a band. But the things that kind of really struck out to me were, I don't know, more, I don't personality figures.
Mm.
Like I really grappled onto like Lou Reed and like the Velvet Underground, as
Oh,
far as just like,
oh yeah.
man, this guy knows how to fucking front a band, and like, you know, he sounds cool, he looks cool. Like that was the kind of stuff that really caught my attention beyond being like, yeah, this dude, you know, rips on guitar or rips on drums. It was more kind of those, you know, ineffable kind of qualities that really more so jumped out to me.
Okay. I appreciate that. You know, it's in having, a conversation with a couple of people recently, and it's just like, it's always one of those things where myself primarily playing drums, going on guitar or whatever, like you can kind of like dwiddle or whatever, but I'm nothing, by any means where I'm like playing guitar in a band, and then seeing people that jump, from thing to thing and just ripping anything that they touch, it's like, God, dude, like that's absolutely sick. You have to appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Even something as silly as there was a few years ago that I was going to I was going to see Weezer,
Hmm.
and Panic at the Disco was playing with them, which isn't necessarily like something I'm like huge into, but like the
Hmm.
vocalist of that band, like he did everything throughout that show, where I was like, all right. I mean, I didn't expect to be like as into this as I am, but like I can appreciate that this dude is like killing everything he's touching. So yeah,
Yeah,
kind of
they're
weird.
tearing it up.
Now, as far as crossover opportunities, you kind of mentioned, talking Tony Hawk's, video games and different things like that. But did you have like a local spot, where you were seeing maybe show flyers or maybe somebody that was at like a local record shop that was introducing you to stuff, or a music shop that was saying like, hey, if you like this, you should check this out, or even skate videos, if you watch any of
Oh
those,
yeah, I mean,
introducing you to music.
skate videos were like, huge influence on like everything in my life, because I was, was and still am just like obsessed with skateboarding.
Hmm.
Um, Trying to think of like, like the Baker 3 video when I was
Oh
13 was
yeah.
kind of life changing. And when I guess bringing it back to Lou Reed, and every title card for that video, they had I think it was Street Trash playing, or not Street Trash, Street whatever. I can't remember what the song's called playing. But yeah, that was like a big one. I guess like music and skateboarding kind of coming together. As far as like local spots, you know, Seventh Circle, which is still around, and previously was like Blast 'em Out, was really the primary spot that I was introduced to, that was doing like DIY, you know, all around, like doing
Mm.
shows, letting people crash there, having flyers up, even selling like merchant records in the back. Like that was probably the kind of the focal point of, I guess, introducing me to other stuff that I wouldn't, have primarily, known about, I guess, from skate videos.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, and even like, were you big into like CKY? I know that was
Oh
something.
yeah, I
Some
loved
people
those
kind of hated it
videos.
for whatever reason, but I was like, dude, how
No,
can you like
I was
have so
like
much fun with
13, so it was like the perfect age to
it?
love that stupid, awful trash. So, I mean, I haven't revisited it. I've talked about it with people recently. I probably should watch it again.
Yeah,
But
I was listening to the band recently, like just kind of like rekindling, hearing some of that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it holds up. Like it's not as cool as what I remember it, but
yeah,
it's fine.
yeah. No, I mean, I
So
never even really got into the band. I mean, I liked that song, that one song that was really
yeah,
popular.
right,
But it was the videos were great because
yeah.
I was all into like that stupid shit, like people hurting themselves.
Did you ever get into like trying to make those movies at all, or like
Yeah,
like
oh
Jackass?
yeah.
Or...
Yeah, like me and my friends would like get in like trash cans and like roll each other down hills, and like, but we were never like, I wasn't as like hard as those dudes. Like they really fucked themselves up in those videos.
Yeah, for
I had
sure.
too much, I guess, self-awareness to really damage myself too badly.
There was a couple of cats like over like local to us that were trying to be on that, and I remember them selling VHS tapes, and like our buddies, bought one. We're like, well, whatever, we'll just check it out, and it was like the like harmlessness and just like softest shit that they could have been doing. Where it's like, dude, you can't sell this as this, man. Like
No.
people are not going to be into this.
Yeah, we didn't even, I don't think we filmed on like, I think we had cell phones at that time. So we would just film on our cell
Okay.
phone, and there was no, we didn't even upload it anywhere. Like it was just like to have for
Save,
whatever
yeah,
reason.
right. Okay, okay. So, what about your first show? You mentioned, like the record shop, and cats, kind of having like shows there and staying there. How do you end up attending your first show, or
Uh,
if it was like a big
I mean,
box concert?
yeah, I guess it's like, it's a bit of a dumb answer. If we're really talking like my very first show, it was like the 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 drummer of that first band I was in, his dad worked for
Hmm.
like Car Toys or something. Yeah, Car Toys, and they were having like a
Okay.
event that we like played on this like truck stage. So that was like our real first show. And then after that, we played at
Sick.
that like church spot. And we did this like battle of the bands, and like we won just because we were so young. We were really bad. Like we didn't know what we were doing, and we sound awful. But like because we were young, people like voted for us, so we like won that, which was like a boost of like confidence. I don't think I played any. Like I don't have any cool shows that I played until probably like 10 years later. I was playing just a bunch of terrible bullshit.
I mean, that like builds that foundation though, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Other than the battle of the bands type thing, I think I have mentioned this a few times, but like it's one of those things, especially if you win, to where like you play the shows after, and then you're like noticing that like cats just don't like even give a shit, and you're like, man, what happened, dude? Like that show,
yeah.
everybody loved us.
I would say, I mean, like we didn't know, like we didn't know how bad we were because we were so young. Like
Yeah,
we were just like doing all, like we were at. I mean, all you could.
just
That's
have fun.
like that's what doing a band is. It's just like playing to your peak capability, which is what we were doing. So once we were better than that, we were like, oh, that was bad. Like let's do something better now.
Hmm.
You don't know when you're in it sometimes, which is good.
Yeah, right. And even like rewinding back a little bit, how do you end up getting your first guitar? Is that something,
Yeah, it was
that
my
did you?
dad.
Okay.
He like I think he found a newspaper ad for a guy in the neighborhood that was doing guitar lessons, and he just asked if I would be interested, and I said sure. So he bought me like an acoustic guitar, and then I did that and kind of never stopped, I guess. I don't know when I got an electric guitar exactly. It probably wasn't much longer after that, but I probably got like a Fender Squire or something
Oh, okay.
to play in my bands. But yeah, I was like 8. He bought me an acoustic guitar, and then kind of just went from there.
Okay. Was it, like you were initially kind of figuring out chords, or even with the acoustic, were you trying to figure out some Metallica, or like how was
Not,
that going
not
initially?
yet. Like on that, well, I was like, so on that acoustic, I think we were like, you got through kind of the main, you know, learning points of like, here's how it actually works. And then I think I tried to learn like Back in Black by AC/DC, and like performed that at like a rehearsal, I think. And then there was some, I think I did like Sweet Home Alabama once. And then it got to the point where I was like, the guitar teacher was like a bit older, and I was just like, I was playing all this like classic rock shit, and I was like, this is like not as fun for me. And I know my
Yeah,
sister
yeah.
had this other guitar teacher who was like this young cool guy who like he like loved Kiss and played in like a Kiss cover band and had all these like
Oh
limited
shit.
edition Kiss guitars in his house. I was like, I want to
Damn.
learn from that guy. So that's then I switched to that teacher, and then I started like learning like some Metallica songs and stuff like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting too. I mean, as far as like, how many times I've heard people even, I guess even like interviewing someone from like the film world who've talked about like, oh man, I really wanted to play guitar and I was really pushing into it for a long time, and I wanted to take lessons and the guy sucked, and so, or the girl sucked, and so like I just put it down. I was like, fuck, man,
Yeah.
that's such a bummer. Like if you have that situation where you don't have the right person and it kind of drives you completely out. But finding
Yeah.
the Kiss dude, shit, that rules.
Yeah. Well, that helped. I mean, I think also though, like I immediately was like into, for lack of a better term, like writing music. Like I wasn't writing anything. It wasn't anything good, but like as soon as I knew how to play like notes on a guitar, I was interested in like what can I do that's not just like covering a song. So even
Okay.
without like, that switch, there was that was kind of I was invested in, that was driving me along to,
Okay.
continue.
Who, as far as like even looking back to like music videos, or looking back into, like maybe when YouTube came around, who were some guitarists that you were kind of looking at as far as like inspiration on, maybe like your picking pattern, or if you're not necessarily like, down picking all the time, but just kind of the aggressive approach that you have as far as with playing.
Honestly, I don't think I wasn't really like looking at any guitarists like that. I mean, aside from these stories that I've told about like guitar teachers, I'm very I guess unprofessional with how I play guitar. Like everything that I've learned was kind of out of necessity of saying like, okay, here's what I want it to sound like. How do I do that? Like what picking pattern makes it sound like that, or you know, what amp sounds like that. You know, I was like listening to like, you know, Metallica and Slayer and stuff like that, but I, you know, like at that age, I didn't know who was in the fucking band. I
Yeah.
didn't care. I was like, this sounds cool. Like, how do I make that sound? Which I think has kind of been a benefit. I think, you know, I'm not like the most like, you know, I'm professional is not the right word, but you know what I'm saying. Like the way I play guitar, like is very, I guess, loose and kind of is just, you know, haphazard, pulled together
Mhm.
from a bunch of different shit. But I think that's kind of where I got interested in just like making sounds, because I was like not like paying attention to how someone played, but like listening to it and trying to figure out how to make that sound myself.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I can appreciate that. I mean, from learning drums, you know, by myself and just kind of, you know, picking up on like listening to and trying to play along to it, I think, you know, that kind of adds that flavor as far as you know, just trying to make it sound cool. I don't know what I have to do here,
Yeah.
but this doesn't sound cool and I need to make it so it does.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go about doing things. It's worked for me at least
Right. And
in
there's always that, you
previously.
know, like that professional approach where it kind of makes it feel like A B, as opposed to when you're just going into it and kind of putting your own flair if it has to, you know, like change it up a little bit. That's where I think musicians end up being, you know, somebody different and sought out, as opposed to someone who's just like, oh yeah, they're comfortable in what they're doing, and yeah, we'll
Yeah.
we'll go with them,
I
sure.
mean, I'm definitely
What about you? Go
jealous of
on.
like classically trained musicians, because that's just not me. That seems cool. I wish I knew like music theory and all that, but
Yeah.
no, I
I mean,
don't.
there's always time, but for right now, I mean,
Yeah.
shit, just go into it and have fun. Shit.
Yeah,
What about your
exactly.
first time recording?
Man, first time recording, I barely remember. It was that first band, that same band that everything was the first with. We pretty
Uh,
sure our bass player's dad, for some reason, had like some recording equipment that we were. Oh no, no, that wasn't it. I think we found someone on Craigslist, and we just rented this random dude's house and like recorded, and he gave us like a USB drive with like our songs on it that now are like they're lost to the ether. I haven't heard them in years. I
oh
don't know where
no.
they're at. That and then a few bands later, we probably found someone locally, and then we just I don't know. I bounced around to like a lot of different like local people like recording, and I was like still learning, so like I just didn't know what I wanted, and I barely knew how to record. And it wasn't until, you know, again, like these kind of most recent bands where I feel like found like, you know, a good fit with like what I want a recording to sound like and who can make that happen. And so yeah, that first recording, it was just like some dude on Craigslist. Now I record with, you know, my friend Jack, who also plays drums in The Consequence. So
Oh yeah.
um, it's kind of, you know, just lots of different people along the way and just figuring out what works and what doesn't. I've definitely had a few recordings over the years where either didn't like how it came out or liked how it came out, but spent way too much fucking money to make it happen. You know, there's a lot of, you know, a lot of pitfalls to figure out.
Yeah, okay, okay. And I think all of that, you know, is kind of like it's cool to hear that journey, and I ask, you know, those things just as far as like kind of hearing from like the first time, you know, up until recently, and you know, maybe some of the changes that have come about, and more so for like, you know, cats that are looking into like making their own first bands, and like knowing that like the first thing that you record isn't going to be fucking awesome, and
Yeah.
if it is, like you're probably missing some of like the lore and like the coolness of being in a band in general. Is like you have to go through those first times of like thinking that like some floppy disk that you received with like a shitty recording that was awesome, like you want to go through that, because then later on in life when you're actually like getting like legit shit or something cut on vinyl, it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
I made
I
it.
mean, what I would say too, what I didn't know back then is that you could just record yourself. Like
Yeah.
that's what I would, you know, if I could go back in time, I'd be like, you know, save that $100 or whatever you were gonna spend on this dude on Craigslist and buy the most intro level recording gear that you can and just record yourself. And then that's just like that's a game changer, I think, in just like the modern age for music is people being able to record themselves.
Dude,
Because it's gonna sound bad anyways. You
yeah.
might as well do it yourself and learn that
Yeah.
aspect too.
Or make that an ingredient into your sound. Like, yeah, we sound like shit. Come see us live. It's gonna sound worse.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen a couple of things, even like recently, where you go on to like a band camp and it was like recorded with audio folder or like just some shit like on the
Yeah,
iPhone, and the whole thing was recorded as like one flat thing and then
yeah,
exported. It's like
people do
Jesus,
that. I've never
it's
recorded with an
insane.
iPhone. That sounds like crazy, but
Yeah, I mean legit releases and everything like cassettes and vinyl. I'm like,
yeah,
the fuck,
totally.
okay.
It works. If it works, it works.
Yeah. Yeah. What about your first time traveling out of, out of state, or maybe even like, doing something of like a weekend run, and
Yeah.
what popped up in that, and what was something maybe like a learning curve of what not to do next time?
Yeah, well, first, like out of state shows I played, I was probably like 19 or something like that. So I've been playing in bands for a while at that point. Um, and I guess I don't know what I like, that's where I like cut my teeth on like any touring stuff. Like I had to learn, what I learned was like everything about it was like, how do you get a fucking trailer figured out? How do
Mm.
you book shows in a state where you don't know anybody? And then I guess what if we're looking for like an intrinsic, message that I learned from that or lesson, it was like I don't know. That was how I knew I really liked playing music because like that run, it was like a weekender, so it was like 3 or 4 days, and we played the Southwest, and we were playing
Okay.
just like on like we played like Salt Lake City, but then we hit like I think like 2 or 3 different like reservation spots in like Arizona and New Mexico, and it was like a wild experience because like these are not places where there's like a scene of any kind. It was a place where we had a contact who could book us a show, but like some of those shows were sick, at least for like being the first out of state shows because um like the whole town came out because like there was like an event happening and like they didn't
Yeah.
they didn't care about the music or anything, but it was like a fun thing for them to do, and like that was a pretty wild experience and kind of just like I guess showed me what different shows can be like and what playing music can be like in terms of bringing you into a situation that you would never be in before.
Yeah.
So that was really cool, and I guess it was it's good to play out. You get better. I think you come back if you go on tour. You come back better than you were before you went. Generally, you plan a lot.
I dig that. I mean, and I think it's a good point too, as far as mentioning like going and booking something. It's like, oh, I could hit Denver, I could hit Detroit, I could hit like the bigger spots, but then hitting some of the smaller things, every once in a while, like might even make a little bit more sense because like you mentioned, cats just being like, whoa, something is happening over
Yeah.
here, or something is actually like going on. Like maybe we can jump on that or go and check it out. But then there's that risk of like there's no one going to be there.
Oh yeah, I've been there too. Like yeah, oh, I played plenty of shows where there's no one there. You just gotta muscle through it. God, I
Oh
mean, if you're
god,
if you're having fun, that's the
it's
not
the
to
biggest
sound like
thing.
a fucking old ass dork here, but like if you're having fun, then that's all that matters. Like if you're hanging, that's what it is. Like you're hanging out with your friends the whole time, and if you're sober or you're not, whatever, like you're hanging out with your friends for an extended period. So if you look at it from that perspective, it doesn't really matter who shows up.
Yeah,
It's
I
good
think
when
it's
they
a
do.
I think it's a huge thing too, like just mentioning like kind of the integrity behind like we're just going out to have a good time and hanging out with boys, or some people might have families to where it's like, hey, it's just a good opportunity. I don't give a fuck if people show up or not. Just
Yeah.
kind of going and like having a good time with it, and if people dig it, then so be it, and if not, at least hopefully we can just get home. That's
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I'm like grateful at this point to like I've played enough of those shows like and done enough tours like that where like I'm so grateful anytime we play a show and like there's
Yeah.
anybody there. It definitely sets the kind of the bar where it should be.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What about like a pre-show ritual? Maybe not necessarily in those terms, but something to kind of center yourself as far as getting ready to go out, or even something along the lines with Candy Apple and singing as well. What's
Yeah.
something that
Um,
gets into your
I
prep?
do my best to not think about it at all. I get like nerves before every show still. Doesn't really matter what show. It could be
Hmm.
if there's no one there, like I'm not like anxious, but like we're kind of just like you're waiting, you're waiting for this thing to happen at the end of the day.
Hmm.
So I don't know if I have like a ritual. Generally, I just try to stay busy on days I have shows. Like I'm not like chilling and like watching a movie or anything. I'll, do anything to kind of keep my mind occupied because otherwise I'm just like, like buzzing with just like waiting for this thing to happen.
Okay.
But usually like I'll try to, I don't know, like I break strings a lot. So usually I'm restringing my guitar before a show to ensure that I won't break strings later that night.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Have a couple extra sets just in case.
Yeah, I mean, normally if I'm on tour, I bring so many with me. It's annoying. When I'm telling you, I don't play conventionally. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm breaking my fucking strings all the time because I just like wail on it.
Damn, that's sick. So what, like even more recently, like your setup, as far as you're going out to head out for like a weekend or a tour or even a show, what are you bringing along as far as, your own gear, that you're going to have on hand for the show?
I mean, just like my guitar, my pedals, my head, and then hopefully I don't even have to, bring a cab, but I'll bring a cab if I need to.
Yeah. I meant
And
more so
that's
like,
really about it.
what are you using like guitar wise? Like
Oh
what?
yeah, I mean, I mostly play a Gibson Les Paul.
Yeah.
That's kind of I've been attached to it over the years, and it's been tough to play anything else, just because I'm so used to it, and I just love how it sounds. And then my head, I was playing out of a JCM 800, but it's currently busted right now. So right now I'm playing out of a Softtech MiG 100, which is my buddy's that he let me borrow, which is another great head. So that's been sounding great. And then pedals, I use like a Maxim 808 overdrive, a Boss chorus pedal for candy apple stuff. I got a delay on there. I can't remember the name of it. And then like a noise suppressor to try to, cut the sound when I need to, because all those pedals are, whipping up some fierce feedback all the time.
Okay. I mean, I appreciate hearing that stuff just, as far as like different cats that might be looking for, like for a certain sound or for, like a certain, style of what they're going for, too. And myself being a guitar or a drummer, like
Yeah.
guitar stuff is almost like a little over my head, but then hearing different things and then kind of be like, hey, I know this cat uses this shit. Maybe check that out.
Yeah,
So
I'm
yeah,
like
it's like,
I'm not a gearhead either. Like that's one area that I struggle with. It's like something about like the technical aspect of it. I just turn my brain off and like I don't want to learn. I will just like I said, I'll try a pedal and try to just make what I think sounds cool.
yeah.
And I'll just get recommendations from friends, but like don't try to talk to me about gear because I don't fucking know.
Oh, thank God. There's more of us out there, I think, than you realize.
Yeah, no, it's like some people are like that, some people really know what they're talking about, and that's just
Yeah.
not me.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that it works. If it works, or somebody even mentioned in the chat there, as little as possible. God, that's so appreciated. Even for drums, dude. If I go and we have like a set somewhere, and they're like, hey, we have a backline. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
dear Lord,
Oh, that's so
we can not get
nice.
paid, and I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah, yeah. Backlines are great. Shout out to the opener last night. They're called Sewer Slide, and they
Yeah.
backlined with
Okay.
like 2 full stacks as like the local
Oh.
opener. It's like, man, you never see that. That rules.
Yeah. Shit. That's awesome. Yeah, especially if it's a backline that's like stuff that's proper or
Yeah.
something that's actually
That's
working.
the
Like, oh,
risk though
all
of
right.
backlining. Like you definitely have that scenario where you're using someone's like busted ass bass that doesn't really work.
Right. Right. It's like we're going for a grimy sound here, but god damn it, you're ruining this.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's a risk. You take a risk when you do it.
Oh my God. Okay. So what about, as far as Candy Apple, kind of initially touching on this here, how does this project end up, kind of come into bloom?
Yeah. Well, the one who just commented in the chat,
Mm.
Cole, that's my friend Cole.
Yep. Okay.
He and I kind of started the band. We were really good friends already, and we played in different bands. We're like, well, why are we not playing in a band together? Let's start one. And he pulled in Nick and Preston. And then it was kind of seamless. don't know, it was like really easy. Like we wrote a song on our first practice. It's a song that we still play on our set to this day. And we just like recorded a demo, and I think we were just we're all on the same page sonically in that we played in hardcore bands, we played in other bands. Like we wanted to just do something without knowing what, just that just was like different. And I think our jumping off point at the time was like Nirvana and like Sonic Youth, but we definitely like, I wouldn't say we sound like that now. Like we definitely, I don't know if we ever sounded like that. We definitely like strayed away from there. I think we just wanted to be like really noisy and like weird. And yeah, Cole played bass. Unfortunately, he moved to Philly, so then we became a three-piece and kind of continued from there. But it's really been just figuring it out as we go. Every record I think sounds kind of different because we're always just like, I guess, evolving on what we did last time. So yeah, it definitely took a while to kind of get our feet under us, and like definitely like the shows in our early years where people were just kind of confused. Like they were like, we would play like hardcore shows because all our friends were in hardcore bands, and that was what we could get on, and people were just like, what? I don't know what this is. Like they would just kind of stand there and watch, and it took a while to win people over, really.
I mean, I mean, maybe it was something live, as opposed to like the other bands, where it felt like it was kind of like a mixed bill or something. But as far as visuals and as far as like sound wise, I guess I don't figure like it's anything that's too far off from, seeing at a hardcore show. So
I think the
I don't,
early stuff was definitely like a little more disparate. I don't know. Like we just didn't know what we were doing. Like we were just, throw something at the wall and see what sticks. Whereas like I think once we got to like the LP, we're like kind of settled into like what we were good at and what we liked doing. So I think at that point, that's when like it started to click more.
Okay. And so if correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it was July 17th of 2018 was the first show.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Bring us back to that, and did everything go well? Was it was it a success in your mind, or
I
shit
think it was
flying all over?
It was in Colorado Springs, and I think we played with a band called Wise from California. It was good. I mean, we had been like everyone in that band is super talented, so it was like we've been practicing. We were like ready to go. I think it was one of like the few shows we played as like a 4-piece, and it was sick. We played all of our demo. I don't even know if the demo was out or not, but there wasn't really anything like crazy bad that happened or crazy good either. Like we got up there, I think, showed people what we were doing for, it wasn't like a big show by any means. Oh, yeah, all Denver bands played their first show in the Springs. It's true. They didn't want us in Denver yet. We had to buy in. We earned that.
Okay. Nice. So, I mean, and even further than that, and kind of touching on, I was just mentioning like visuals and whatnot, yourself, and the draw, to photography and some of the stuff that you have on your page too. Tell us about the visuals as far as what we have on the cover. I mean, we have, presented by Jesus Christ. We have, Joyride, Sweet Dreams. Like what goes into, some of the stuff that has graced the covers that are ripping.
Well, the demo was a ripoff of this Christian Death design, and me and Cole really fucking liked it. It was like this poster, and it was like Jesus Christ proudly presents Christian Death with that image. And so we were like, let's just rip that for the demo because it looks really cool. And we like ripped off their logo for our like demo logo. And then with like Joyride, I was like watching, I think I was watching Alien, and I was just kind of like so captivated by like this movie from 1979 with like these, physical, practical effects that like still look incredible. And so like in my head, I was like, I want, the art for this next release to have like a physical aspect to it. So I like made this, I got this like doll and like crucified it and like hammered nails into its head and like burned it and made it look all fucked up. And basically because like the demo cover is, it's Jesus Christ on the cross. So I wanted to keep kind of the same structure. So I like took this photo of like a crucified baby doll, and just kind of put that together. And I from like I really just wanted it to be striking. Like I always want the art to like capture, someone's attention, even if they're like not down with the music or whatever. I want it to at least be something that they want to check out because it just is, it looks like, something they haven't seen before. So that was kind of the intention with the Joyride cover.
Mhm.
And then so with Sweet Dreams of Violence, we really wanted to work with our friend Kane, because he had been around since the band started. He dubbed 25, like we only did 25 tapes of that demo. He dubbed all of them himself.
Oh, okay.
And so he had been around since the start, and he was a good friend of ours. We really wanted to like work with him again. So we went over to his place and we didn't really have any ideas aside from like, we're just going to take a bunch of photos. We have like all this like fake blood, and like Kane had all these like weapons that we could use. And we took probably like 30 different photos and found the one that kind of felt like it matched best with like, what the record was about. And then, yeah, so that was the photo that we used on the front and back cover of the Sweet Dreams of Violence layout. And we also just, again, we wanted it to be striking, like we wanted it to capture people's attention. So that was kind of the intent going into it.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, and then the World for Sale art, we worked with Smoking Room, this label out of California, and because we just had liked a lot of the art that he had done. And yeah, so that one was a little bit less hands-on from us because he did all the art for that, but I still think it came out really cool and captures the essence of the songs.
Totally. I love it. And I mean, I guess, kind of out of like a selfishness in my interest in horror too, having a couple of tracks, you have Brain Dead and you have Reanimator. Is that any sort of inspiration from
yeah
movies at
sure.
all? Or?
I mean,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
definitely Preston and I definitely love like horror movies. So I don't know if it's like I can't even say what the inspiration is, but except beside the fact that it's like a thing that I really enjoy, that art that inspires me to make art.
Okay. Okay. I love that. No, I just wanted to add, I mean, looking into like the lyrics, I was like, I don't think there's necessarily like a direct draw to like something
Yeah,
that's trying to be said, but I was like, I mean, that rips. So
yeah,
that's sweet. Along with, like with cover art and with different things, I think that's always something that's been a draw to Youth Attack, and kind of, like a little bit of this month in general is, talking with cats from the label there. Do
hmm
you have a couple of, covers in mind, from the label through the years of where, you've been like, holy shit, like this is awesome, or this is, even something like the Repos, like Poser, where it's like,
yeah.
my dude just mowing the lawn.
Yeah,
Like,
that
so
one's
sick.
wild in how like I guess different it is from everything else. I mean, the one
Yeah.
that comes to mind for me is the Civilized Chopping Block LP cover
Oh, dude.
with the razor blade on the eye. It's just like
Rough.
yeah, it makes you uncomfortable looking at it, which is like exactly what you want out of something
Idea.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And then
Love that.
was it the whatever, I can't remember, was it the Veil 2 art, the
Oh,
putrid gore art
man.
with like the Lovecraftian, all really colorful. I like that one a
Yeah.
lot too.
That's so
And then
sick.
I mean, there's so many examples I could pick from. I think that same drop, like the GDH art, was just like really gnarly looking.
And it's cool too, I mean, and this is kind of transitioning into, the consequence, but that's always been something, for me, even as a little kid. I mean, when it came to movies, when it came to music, cover art was always something, that's always been like a draw, and always, and so, being introduced to Youth Attack and seeing just all the shit, no matter if it's something that Mark has, to do with, or if it's somebody else that's involved. Absolutely, it's always one of those things where it's like, fuck, what's going to be next? What's going to, like pop up there,
Yeah,
or something, like with like City Hunter. I mean, like
yeah.
loving the shit that comes out from there too.
I think
As
it's
far as
really
the consequence,
important.
oh, go ahead.
Like
Sorry.
just cover art in general. I mean, I think I've always kind of nerded out about it just from like movies and books and like and records. Like it bothers me when like a good record doesn't have good art
Oh, dude.
because it just feels like it's missing like a vital piece of the package.
Yeah. Yes. I've mentioned before that there's like been albums where I'm like, dude, musically, it is perfect. I could give this a 10 out of 10, but then whatever, like the packaging of it, I'm like, this knocks it down a little bit, man.
Yeah,
Like it takes a
totally.
little bit of the experience out. Like it really
Yeah.
bums me the fuck out.
I mean, I guess you could make an argument that, that's
It's more about the
superfluous.
music.
Exactly. Yeah, you could make a
Touche.
statement with that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I won't be the one to make that statement.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure it's been said before, and it's just
Yeah.
like some like minute statement. Nothing actually that's like knocking down the the music, but it's like, oh man, I
Yeah.
just wish that there was something better to to be the wrapping paper, if you will,
Right. Yeah.
to everything else. So with Hardcore Hammer, tell us about as far as that bad boy coming out, and then it coming out on Youth Attack. How does that end up coming together?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, we started as a different band under a different name,
Hmm.
and it was me, Gordy, Jack, and Nick, and we wrote 3 songs. That's the first 3 that are on that tape, and we recorded those and a Crumbsuckers cover. And we were like, well, I don't know what to
Was
do
this
with this.
released?
No, no, it wasn't released.
Oh, oh.
We sent it to James. I think Gordy, I don't know why, but Gordy ended up sending those songs to James, and he was like, "This is sick. Can I like play on this?" And so then he ended up joining, and we ended up writing, I don't know, 4 more songs, the rest of what ended up on that tape. And it kind of just went from there. I mean, we had actually a different tape. It didn't come out. I mean, it exists. I think they're probably sitting in a box somewhere. That was like a promo tape because we were gonna do a tour with Spine in March of 2020, and so we had all these promo tapes made for that, and we had to cancel because of COVID. So nothing happened with those tapes. But then yeah, beyond that, it was just the Youth Attack tape came out, and yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to say. I mean, it was really easy. Like, James and Mark obviously already have like a really good working and creative relationship. So it was pretty easy to kind of fit into that mix and say like, all right, well, here's like, this is what we sound like. If it works for the label, that's great. If not, because I mean, we do sound like pretty different than a lot of the other bands on that label.
Yeah.
And so we weren't even sure whether it would make sense, but like, Mark was totally into it, and like he pulled in this artist to do the art with the torch coming out of the water. And yeah, and it all just came together really easily. We recorded it with James's 4-track, shipped it off to Will, and he mixed it, and yeah, it was really easy. So there was not a whole lot to say. It was pretty
I,
seamless, smooth.
I mean, it makes it even better, when it's not like some sort of a big like push or struggle or like, oh God, we tried and tried, and for something to just kind of like fall together like that makes an experience all the better.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the story of that whole band. Like, I feel, everyone in that band is really fucking good at what they do. Jack's like an incredible drummer. Gordy's an incredible vocalist and front man, and James rips on a bass. Nick rips on guitar. Like it was so easy because everyone knew what they were doing already.
Yeah,
So
right.
it was just like come in and do it together.
Perfect. That's like. Do you have anything? I know you guys just had the show this last night. Do you have anything that's kind of set forth as far as that you can mention? I'm not.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
want to
actually,
drag out
right
a bunch of
now I
shit.
don't have any shows. Yeah, no shows for those 2 bands booked. I think uh, Candy Apple, we just finished a record, and so
Oh damn.
that'll be out next year, and we'll definitely be playing a lot of shows, probably starting in like spring of next year, but probably take a couple months to just kind of relax because we've been grinding pretty hard this year, it feels like. And then the
Yeah.
Consequence, we've been working on some new stuff, so I don't know that we'll be playing too many shows, but there'll definitely be new stuff from us coming soon.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so sick. I mean, I truly, like I say, I appreciate hearing your story and hearing like your approach to playing, and I dig it, and I hope like whoever sees this kind of learns something and picks something up from from your approach in doing things, because
Yeah, I
you're it,
hope
dude.
so.
You guys are
Thanks,
killing
dude. I appreciate
it.
it.
No, I appreciate it. I wanted to end off here. You mentioned as far as your interest in horror, three horror movies that maybe you feel like cats should check out if they haven't seen, that are maybe favorites to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I'm not the guy to give you any like deep cuts that you've never heard of, but
Dude, it's perfect.
yeah, I mean, I would say like I mentioned Alien. That's like my favorite movie of all time. So obviously like that's on the list. Um, Evil Dead 2, another favorite of mine.
Oh,
I'm really
dude.
going with just the classics. I love The Thing. I love you like early Cronenberg stuff like Shivers and Rabid, and The
Yeah.
Brood, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't have any deep cuts, but I really love that era of
Look,
like, like 78 through like 85 or
there's
whatever. Everything's
not a ton
just
of people talking
amazing.
about Shivers, dude. Let's be honest here. Shit.
Yeah, that one's
I love
good. They
it.
should be. It's disgusting. It's gross in the
It's
best
awesome.
way.
I know. I recently got a Vestron release. It's like an older label that's been around for quite a while, but they released Shivers, and I picked that up, and
Hell
I
yeah.
was like, fuck
That's
yeah, dude.
awesome.
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah, I
that
love that.
I think that one is on YouTube. So if anyone like for
Oh, okay.
free, like so if anyone hasn't seen it and you're like not trying to
Perfect.
spend money, just go on YouTube. It's a great
Boom.
movie.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome, dude. I have to say thank you very much once again.
Yeah, of
We'll
course.
wrap on that, and I'll keep in touch, man. If you guys are booking some shows or doing some stuff, kind of coming through Midwest, or we'll link something up, my dude. I
Fuck yeah.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, awesome. All right,
Cool.
I'll have this edited for anybody who hasn't watched, and I'll have it, within like the next month up on YouTube, and I'll promote it and everything like that too. So,
Great.
with that said, though, man, take care and
Yeah.
appreciate the time.
Likewise. Have a good one.
Have a good one, man. See ya.
Bye.
He's a low